It's been 6 months since I bought the Nest Wi-Fi Pro, and while I originally wasn't all that impressed with this router system, after 6 months I've changed my mind on it, and I want to take you through why that is. And I'm going to start off by talking about the things I really like about the Nest Wi-Fi Pro. First, its overall design. It has a small form factor, and it makes it easy to justify putting out on a table or on another piece of furniture, which you want to do with any router to get the best speeds and performance. Google went with a polished look this time around with the router, which is somewhat polarizing, but it also makes it a very unique system in terms of the aesthetic. It looks more like a decoration than a Wi-Fi router, which I actually think works well. It's also one of the only Wi-Fi routers you can buy that comes in a variety of colors, not just black and white, which I wish more companies would take notice of and actually copy. Also, unlike the previous Nest Wi-Fi system, where the main router and Wi-Fi points were actually different and the whole thing was a bit confusing, Google simplified their approach with the Nest Wi-Fi Pro. The hardware you use for the main router and the Wi-Fi point is now exactly the same, and better yet, the Wi-Fi point now has dedicated Ethernet built back into it, allowing you to wire in the Wi-Fi points instead of using a wireless backhaul, just like you could do with the original Google Wi-Fi. The next thing I really liked about the Nest Wi-Fi Pro is setup. It's incredibly easy, fast, and I had zero issues setting up this router system. And you do it all through the Google Home app, which in terms of router apps is actually one of the better designed ones that I've used, even though people who really want to tinker with their routers will find it somewhat lacking. Some other benefits you get with this system are Matter support and a built-in Thread radio, which is important for the smart home and the new Matter standard. And I'll leave a link in the description below, so at the end of the video, if you want to learn more about Matter and how Thread devices fit into the new Matter standard, you can go there and watch that video. Another thing I really like about the Nest Wi-Fi Pro is its suite of family support features. There's no subscription cost for those features like a lot of other competing router systems. You can set up profiles for each of your kids, easily group in all of their devices, and then schedule Wi-Fi pauses for your kids' devices, and enable Safe Search, which will automatically block sites with adult content. You can also manually pause and unpause Wi-Fi at will. The Google Home app also gives you some nice additional features like an easy-to-read usage graphic, and it makes it easy to test the connection of your main Wi-Fi router and Wi-Fi points. Alright, now let's get into the performance of this router system. Now, originally I wasn't that impressed with it, but as the months have gone on, I think it's gotten quite a bit better, and now that we're at the 6-month mark, I can definitely say this router system performs very well given this system's cost. I'm seeing speeds comparable to my Netgear 6E system, which costs 3 to 4 times the price of a 2-pack Nest Wi-Fi router system. Now, there are some potential disadvantages with the Nest Wi-Fi Pro compared to other Wi-Fi 6E systems, and I'll get into that in a second, but overall the performance of the system is still pretty good, and the Nest Wi-Fi Pro can now take advantage of the new 5.9 GHz spectrum, at least here in the US. This is a big deal because it basically adds an additional 160 megahertz channel for the Wi-Fi 6 devices connecting to the router. And I know that was a lot of jargon, but basically what this does is it gets you faster speeds, and there's also typically less congestion on that 5.9 gigahertz band because not all Wi-Fi devices support it. Google also has a feature for the Nest Wi-Fi Pro called Preferred Activities, which allows you to prioritize certain activities over the network, but as of our recording, there's only one option: video conferencing, which is a bit odd. Right now, this feature feels not as fleshed out as I expected. Alright, now let's talk downsides. Now, overall, what I look for in any Wi-Fi system is one that I can just kind of set and forget and get great performance and Wi-Fi speeds throughout the life of the system. And overall, over the past 6 months, the Nest Wi-Fi Pro has done that for me. However, there are some compromises that Google did make with the Nest Wi-Fi Pro and that you should be aware of when looking at this system versus its competition. Now, the Nest Wi-Fi Pro, it is a tri-band mesh system, but because it supports Wi-Fi 6E, which has that 6 gigahertz band, that means there's no dedicated band for a wireless backhaul, which is basically the connection between your main router and then all of your Wi-Fi points. In order to have dedicated band for all of that traffic to go wirelessly between the Wi-Fi router and all of the Wi-Fi points, you would need what's called a quad band system. Now, what Google did here with the Nest Wi-Fi Pro is actually pretty smart. By using the 6 gigahertz gigahertz band as the backhaul, that means that there's going to be less congestion on that band because most of your devices cannot support this new 6 gigahertz band. Now, where this gets tricky though is say a couple years into the future as more and more devices do start supporting that 6 gigahertz band, that means that potentially you're going to see more traffic on that band which is being used as that backhaul, and that theoretically could lead to more just congestion, maybe decreased performance with your Wi-Fi system. We've seen this before in previous systems that do not have a dedicated wireless backhaul, so I know time will tell, but I think it would still be several years down the road before you would potentially see any issues using that 6 gigahertz band and not having a quad band system. Another downside with this system compared to others is range. It's a bit odd when you see the Nest WiFi Pro, Eero, and other routers of this size and you think to yourself, wait, how are these routers going to get me the same performance as the much larger routers from other companies? Well, in terms of range, they simply won't. The Nest WiFi Pros only get you 2,200 square feet of coverage each. However, depending on your home construction materials, layout, etc., that can all vary. And this is less than competing routers from other brands like Asus and Netgear. I can clearly see the signal strength of my Netgear system is better, though that system is like 3 times the cost of the Nest WiFi Pro. Now, even though the system is somewhat limited with its range and signal strength with its antenna design, if you look at the system from a value perspective, what Google is charging for it is actually very reasonable, especially if you get a 2-pack or a 3-pack of this system. So after 6 months, who do I think this router system is for? I think anyone who wants home Wi-Fi that has better performance than the routers supplied to them by their internet service provider, otherwise known as your ISP, would be happy with this system. And yes, you do still need to purchase internet service from an internet service provider when you buy either a Nest WiFi Pro or a Google Wi-Fi router. Those are not the same things as an internet service like Google Fiber here in the US, which I know that those names have caused confusion in the past. I've seen that in our YouTube comments. And when you buy a Wi-Fi router yourself, you also need to have what's called a modem. You can get one from your ISP, or sometimes you can go purchase your own depending on what your ISP allows for. And unlike Google's other Wi-Fi systems, if you want to future-proof your setup, the Nest WiFi Pro is the only system that Google sells that supports the Wi-Fi 6E standard, which gets you that extra 6 gigahertz band we talked about earlier. But importantly, it's the only system that Google makes that also supports the Wi-Fi 6 standard. And what that standard brought to Wi-Fi is better battery life for your Wi-Fi devices, increased speeds, and the ability to handle many more devices on the network simultaneously. So at this point, if you're looking for a Wi-Fi router and you're interested in one made by Google, the Nest WiFi Pro is pretty much the only system I'd recommend from them because of its support for Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 6E. And I've left purchase links below if you'd like to check out the current price of the Nest Wi-Fi and the other Wi-Fi routers I mentioned in this video. And if you want to go into a deeper dive on how to get better Wi-Fi in your home and go into more detail about Wi-Fi 6E, check out the video I did on how to get better Wi-Fi. You can click here to get to that video, or if you'd like to see more of our Google device reviews, you can click here to get to that playlist. And consider giving this video a thumbs up if you liked it and found it helpful. For 6 months later, I'm Josh Tedder. Thanks for watching.